welcome to Palapa and the Giant. I'm the Giant.
I'm Palapa.
And this week we are playing
travel games.
So for this week's theme, we chose some games that we thought would fit really nicely into 4 areas that I think make a really good travel game. So the first is the size of the box. So we're going to be playing these out at a brewery, and we didn't want the box to take a lot of space on the table sitting next to us.
Yeah.
Or we can, we can throw these into a bag and have it next to us, but the size of the box was definitely a consideration. The second was the size of the game itself. How much footprint does the game take to play it? We want all these to fit into a table and be able to have drinks around it.
Yes.
So all 3 of these games do not take up a big footprint on the table. The third is the length of the game. So we didn't want to choose games that are going to take hours to play. We really just wanted these to be something that, we get through it in,
They're
30
good
to 40
for
minutes.
light. Yeah.
So that we're not, drinking at a brewery.
And they'll kick us out.
Yeah. And then finally, complexity. So I found that these 3 games are not overly complicated. We know now how to play them. Even though 2 of these we have not played before, read through the rules, and I feel like these are games where I'm not going to be constantly going back to the rule book, because when you're out in public playing these games,
And it's loud sometimes.
I don't want to have to keep doing rules checks and figuring these games out.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
So first up is beer and bread.
In this 2-player game, you are collecting resources so that you can play multi-use cards that either give you an ongoing benefit, score additional points at the end of the game, or are used to produce beer or bread. Each round alternates between fruitful and dry years, which determine the amount of resources available on the board. You start each round with 5 cards, and you take turns playing 1 card and resolving its effect. You can only store a limited number of resources, so you'll need to plan your harvest actions based on what you need to produce, if it's beer or bread. After both players have played all 5 of their cards, you move on to the next round, and after 6 rounds, you score your produced beer and bread cards, as well as any endgame scoring cards on your side of the board. The player with the most points wins.
So this one we've played before. We only had played it once though, and I remember us really liking this game.
Yeah.
And since we're going to a brewery, I thought, we got to play a game that's about beer.
Why not?
Did you remember liking this game a lot?
I like the game. I think it's very pretty. I am not at the best at collecting cards, because some cards have those actions, and it's kind of cool to do the actions too. But it's a really good game, and I think for me overall it's very pretty too.
The next game on our stack is Power Failure.
Power Failure is a card game with a dexterity element where you are building your own power plant tableau to create the most productive power grid. Each turn, players take 3 actions to either collect cards, build power plants, or power them to claim energy contracts. Depending on the actions you take, there will be carbon blocks that you must stack without toppling the tower. If the tower falls, then your turn immediately ends, and all players must discard a card from their hands. The end of the game is triggered when you can no longer refill the energy contract row. You then add up your points earned from your completed contracts, and the player with the most points wins.
So this is what we haven't played yet.
No, I'm intrigued.
I'm very intrigued. The theme is interesting. So we love power
Grid.
And so, of course, like we were thinking power plants and all that. And this has an interesting element that also has a little bit of a dexterity piece to the game, where you have to stack these little cubes, which should be interesting, playing something with dexterity involved when we're at a brewery.
Yeah, brewery, people walking around, maybe bumping into your table a little bit too. It's gonna be cool.
And then finally, Ticket to Ride Amsterdam.
Ticket to Ride Amsterdam is a route building game where you collect cards to make sets of the same color to build connections on the map. The routes are connecting locations which will score you points based on the length of the route, and could score you endgame points if you connect 2 locations listed on one of your secret tickets. Typically, the Ticket to Ride games are all about trains, but in this version you are placing carts in the 17th century Amsterdam. The last round is triggered when a player is down to 2 carts or less. You then reveal your secret tickets and gain bonus points if you completed them, or negative points if you did not. The player with the most points wins.
I cannot wait to play this.
Yes, Ticket to Ride, standard introduction game to non-gamers, very easy to teach, and then now we have a mini one. We don't own, so there are so many different Ticket to Rides, and we don't own the whole slew of them. We just own the regular one and the Europe, and so this is our 3rd version of Ticket to Ride, but we have not played this one yet. And the only difference is this doesn't have trains, this is carts.
Yeah, it's so disappointing. I love the trains and Ticket to Ride and other games that we have, we upgrade the components. So we have really cool trains for Ticket to Ride. And this one is like little carts, and I forgot, are they in color or they're
Yes,
just
they're
okay?
in color.
But yeah, let's see. You know, it's gonna be the same concept, but just little carts instead of trains. Yeah.
So there you go. These are the 3 games for travel that we're going to be playing today. And looking forward to, because 2 of these games we have not played before. So let's get gaming.